What's up, Nakamas? Welcome back to the channel. For today, we're gonna be playing our ST14 Monkey D. Luffy in the simulator. So for the deck list, this is exactly the list that I have featured in my previous video. This video is all about playing it and how I pilot this deck. So without further ado, let's see this deck in action. Okay, off of our game 1, we are against Yamato. So this is a pretty good matchup, I think, and very nice because it's a very aggressive deck. So I'd like to at least keep or find 1,000 Sunny in this deck, and glad we found it. So at this point, we don't have any counters that much, so we took an early damage here, and I love my hand at this point because we have some blockers, which is useful against Yamato unless our opponent plays an Isshou like that. So we need 3,000 here, so it's not really advisable, but we needed to block that point, so we used all our counters. Quick check of the new card here. So we just attack for 5k and try to be aggressive. So we drop a Nico Robin here. By the way, I really love this card. A second Isshou hurting us, tapping our blocker again. So this time we are gonna take that. And yep, we're not gonna save that. So at this point, I just want to start removing some counters from our opponent's hand. We have two Isshous in hand. I mean Isshou. So we drop the Isshou, removing some cards, and we attack our Yamato player here directly. So I can also drop the Rebecca to try to get something, like drop another blocker, because blockers are very much important in this matchup. But Yamatos have access to tappers like Isshou and Cody Jones, so it's up to you to basically decide and try to evaluate if you should go just on the more aggressive route or the defensive route. So 12k, we're not gonna waste counters for that, so let's just take that. So when playing with Isshou, you need to be aware of your opponent's hand. So currently our opponent has 6 cards here, and so let's just, again, if you see a tap Momonosuke, should get rid of that because that's a pretty cool card. So let's just attack for 10k here. We can get rid of that. So what's this? Isshou. So for now, let's just get a blocker. Then we can get rid of that. So ideally, we should have played that first, but our opponent took. I mean, we attacked the Momonosuke, so the Jumban, the order of casting that event, might not have mattered anyways. Okay, opponent tapping our blockers here and with Amaru. So this one we are willing to take rather than taking that from our leader. So another, at least we got rid of counters with our second Isshou, and we can just be aggressive here. Let's wait what our opponent does. If, yeah, so getting rid of 2 cards from our opponent is what we want to do from that play. And I think the leader effect plus 1,000 was overlooked by our opponent during the last play. So let's just spend some blockers and some counters here. So opponent has 2 cards in our hand. Assuming those are 2k counters, we can just win right off the bat here. Very nice. So our second game is against Mirror Match Black, basically. So I love this matchup because Rob Lucci is really like it's well used, represented in today's meta, and the cost addition effects of our deck can really mess up the cost reduction, the cost specific removals from Rob Lucci. So I think it's a very good that we are featuring this matchup right now. So again, a pretty good opening hand. As much as possible, if you can find, try to dig for 1000 Sunny in your first hands via mulligan. You can aggressively mulligan for that. Okay, and at this point, we can just drop a Sabo and discard an event and probably a Zoro. So yes, we discarded a Zoro at this point. So the good thing, or the challenging thing against black matchups, is that you need to pay attention to the board. Don't be shy to spend some turns just controlling the board, because at the end of the day, it's gonna be like a Moria. The 8 cost and 9 cost cards will eventually be the keys to winning this matchup. So here we're gonna be attacking for 7. We're trying to get rid of the Rebecca, but our opponent took it. So at this point, we have 2 blockers. So we can either try to be aggressive here, but like if there are tap characters at this point, I would have just attacked with a Sabo there. But yeah, our opponent attacking for 5 here. I'm just willing to spend a counter here rather than blocking with the Sabo, because I don't want to expose my Sabo at this point for a free attack. Opponent attacking for 6k here, so we can just use a 2k counter. Okay, so opponent can get rid of that Robin. Interesting. So we have 2 choices here. We can either Isshou or Sabo, but I think at this point our opponent did not drop any Moria yet, so I'd prefer to just drop an Isshou here. We didn't get a Moria at that point, but at least we got rid of a 2k counter from Khalifa. We're attacking for 7. Try to get rid of that blocker, and at this point we just attack for 6. Try to fish out 2 cards from our opponent in removing that Brook. So another pointer is that when attacking characters, especially against black mirrors, you can actually attack with a plus 2000 power. That way our opponent will need to waste 2 cards. Oh, opponent casting a Sabo here. Very nice. But we have our own Sabo and we have an Isshou. So attaching 1 Dawn to this will reduce everything's cost by 3. And it's just works perfectly, because the 8 cost Sabo will now become 5, and making it vulnerable for our own Sabo. Pretty nice here. We're getting rid of everything from the opponent's board, and we have 2 up ends, so I feel pretty good about ourselves here regarding our win condition. But of course, it's still anybody's game at this point. So opponent dropping a blocker and a searcher of Gecko Moria. So I'm not running any Gecko Morias in my current list. Let's just drop a Sabo. So now we have a lot of 2k counters in our hand. So should we go for body or remove this Brook? So I think I'll just remove the Brook. Try to get rid of that Rebecca. So at this point, we don't need to rush. Still do have the Fujitoras and our Sabo. So let's just get rid of this Brook to reduce the number of attackers for our opponent. We are at 2 life. So as long as our opponent has an active only 2 attackers, then we should be okay. So that's why we are going for the head here. Oh, pretty nice. Enya's Lobby. That's like playing that Enya's Lobby off of life trigger is something that I don't want to see against a Lucci deck. But of course, as a Lucci player myself, that's what I want. Opponent dropping a Khalifa here. Oh, very nice. Redo the trashing of Brook is really good. At this point, we just try to protect here so that 1 plus 1k effect off of our leader if we have an 8 cost character is really good, especially in the late game, because it can do wonders. So now again, we can just try to fish and try to win here. At this point, opponent is taking 11k attacks. So I think our opponent doesn't have any counters at this point. And we have 3 more Dawns here. We can just go aggressive here for 12k. So opponent doesn't have enough counters. I hope you like the playtest video. This deck works really good in the current meta where black is actually dominating, or where black is very rampant. So with the combination of the Dawn 1 ability of our leader and the 1000 Sunny, it could really mess up the cost-based removal for mirror matches and for black decks. So I think this deck might be a pretty good option as an anti-meta, especially if there's a lot of like black. So yeah, this is how I play the deck. I hope you learned something from this. If you like videos like this one, please don't forget to subscribe. And if you're still watching, then you're not just a nakama, but a super nakama. And thank you very much for that. So thank you very much and see you in the next video.